So we hope to see you next week. We've got the agenda before us. Any additions?
I make the motion to support.
Okay, with no, there is no closed session today. With that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, minutes for the July 14th meeting.
Motion to move. Support.
Any discussion?
That would be the 28th meeting, I apologize.
That was-
It's a typo.
Thank you. 28th meeting minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Yeah, there are probably, I see a folder that's going around. For commissioners to check as they can. And we'll go then to time for our departments, elected officials to make any announcements or comments that they feel necessary. We don't have a whole lot of, we may not have a whole lot
Actually, it was the 14th.
to
Today's the
discuss.
28th.
It was, I just didn't want to correct you.
What was that?
You're
It
right.
was
It is
actually
the 14th.
14th?
Today is the 28th. I
I was
apologize
here on the
again.
28th because it's today.
I always follow what the clerk says.
See how much
Too
power-
much going on,
see how much
sorry.
power you have?
Too close to the election, we're going.
Okay. I can understand. Okay, see no department heads, time for our public to make any comments that they wish.
Good morning. Couple things. This last week, we, going back to Marathon Township. And Brendan, I totally understand why you have distanced yourself, because it just feels like you're beating your head against the wall. We found out, we went to the township on, I don't remember what day it was, Monday, I guess. And to watch the election tests be done on the machine, which was kind of interesting because it was really like garbage in, garbage out. But anyway, it was done. And then we just happened to look at the door and there was a meeting posted. A special meeting, because at this point, even though I requested in writing to my township to be notified of every meeting, this was months ago, I was told, we don't have time for that. Well, according to the Open Meetings Act, they have to make time for that. So I will be following through. There are some things that have went on in Marathon Township that are pretty interesting, and if you'd like to know any more about it, Brenda, I will let you know, because again, we're following through, and I will be talking to the prosecutor, because it's just violations, and they don't care. They don't want us at the meetings. It's been said, it's pretty much in the meeting. One of the members of the commission said, I really think we need to be doing a better job of letting people know. And they're like, not our job. We're supposed to drive up there every day and look at the door to see if they posted a meeting, because it only has to be up 18 hours beforehand. These aren't hearings, they're supposedly not hearings. But the interesting thing is that we're one side, the people in the neighborhood who don't want this special land use, this so-called campground that's not a campground. We don't want that, but guess what? The other side has been at 2 meetings. So we are gonna follow through. We are gonna, everybody's like, get a lawyer, get a lawyer. I don't want a lawyer. I just want them to do the right thing. So we will be following through on that. And interesting enough, when we were looking at, or we're supposed to go to the website. Well, we all know we have great internet out there. Interesting enough, we went to our website, the Marathon, and then we're like, oh, let's go to a couple other ones. We went to Goodland. You know what Goodland Township has? They have something called the Remind Me app. They have an app, just like these school districts do. So if I'm a teacher and I want to send something out to the parents of all the students in my class that say, hey, by the way, this is due, we're gonna have a big test next week. They have it's called the Remind Me or Remind app that actually goes along with the Open Meetings Act. So if I go to Goodland and say, hey, would you please remind me of every meeting? It's right there on their site. If you want to be reminded of not only every meeting, but every special meeting, this app will send it out to anyone who's requested it. Good for Goodland Township. I hope every township will adopt this app, including the county. I mean, Brendan called me one day and said, hey, by the way, the meeting's canceled. A couple hours beforehand, the weather, and I was like so thankful, because we would have probably tried to be here. Anyway, so thank you for being the reminder, Brendan. And then, I kind of, so then the other thing that I had this week that has just been tearing at my heart is, again, I mentioned about these school districts. There are people now in these districts all over the nation who are going after these schools for pornography. There are laws on the books. I looked up a bunch this morning. There are laws on the books that say it is, and we're not talking, I don't know what to call it. I mean, I'm calling pornography as the overall what it is. We're not even talking about what sex trafficking or what's going on, the evil that's going on. We're talking basic stuff. And it's talking about, it should not even be, it can't be drawings. And if you go to any of these books that in these middle school and even elementary libraries, they're drawings. I mean, so again, I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go. This stuff has got to be, let's make education back to what education's supposed to be. Getting kids ready to live fruitful lives. Not to damage their hearts and their brains before they even graduate. They gotta go. So I'm gonna let it go.
Other members of the public who would like to speak? Not seeing any, so we'll move on then to business. First part we have is appointments. I think I was going to ask if anybody is here about appointments.
We have.
We have some applications, and we've talked about having presentations if they're, or at least a chance to meet them.
Could you please make sure everybody's signed up on the mic? You guys, someone up here can't hear what you guys are saying.
I'm sorry. Okay,
Sorry about that.
good comment. Keep reminding us.
My apologies.
This is for public time?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Everybody, I'd like to start off saying you do a fine job. No complaints here. My concern is with CMH, specifically the Golden Arrow. I go by there, I see nothing but a group of drunks hanging out in the parking lot, fighting, screaming, swearing. I think the Golden Arrow was put there for that purpose. I don't even like to go in there for help. And that's about all I have to say on this subject. Thank you for hearing me.
Okay, thank you for your comment. I think the director heard about that too, so if you want to talk to him, he may want to talk to you. Okay, back to then appointments. I don't notice anybody here. We do have 3 that are sort of hanging. And to remind you, we've gotten an application from Rex Seapart for a community mental health. I had got a message that through our secretary that he was going to come and talk to us, but I think it must be the next meeting versus this meeting. We also have a nomination for Kelly Kavner for EMAC.
She's a replacement, remember?
Yes. And the third one came in recently for Laird Kelly to be reappointed to the 911 board. I think that the question I guess I've got, we talked at some length the last meeting about whether all candidates should, all applicants should be here to make a comment, or whether specific ones. So I guess I want to revisit that very briefly. We've got here, for example, 3 different categories of applicants. One brand new for an important position on CMH. And we've sort of said, definitely that's an area where we want a person to come. We've also got in the applicant for EMAC, that's really a position that is stipulated for an organization. They made that nomination of the person from their staff to come and set on EMAC. Do we really want to require them? We can invite them certainly, but do we want to require them to come? And then the third category, Larry Kelly would fit in. He's the person who served on the 911 board for a while. Do we want people who have current status on the board to have to come a second time or a third time, whatever, to make their application? So I thought I'd raise that quickly. I know, again, we've got Brian here on borrowed time.
So I guess my comment to that now is because a lot of this board is definitely changing. Me being the new guy of, maybe 2 years, some of these people I've never met. I have no idea who they are. Are they doing a good job? I have no idea. So I'm not super comfortable appointing somebody to a board that I just know absolutely nothing about. I mean, never even saw their face.
Would that fit the category where they're representing an organization?
Well, and again, if the person can't make it, okay, but at least let's give them the opportunity to, extend an invitation at least. That's my thought. Anyway.
Right now, the form says required.
But I'm gonna get behind with Brian, like you said, it's all on the board, but even not being on the board, my understanding is that somebody else can also sign up for that same position, even though you're wanting to redo yours, if you're on the board, somebody else still might want that position too. Having the same person all the time on the board isn't always the greatest. So having them to see in the face so we can see what they do, how they react, what are they doing on the board? Just because they're on the board for a long time doesn't mean it's a good thing. So having them to come to the public or offering it to somebody else that position that maybe they might want to step up and say who they are to see if somebody wants to be appointed to that same position, I don't think would be a bad thing for any position. Because even though we talked about it, it's not an elected thing or whatever, but these community mental health, we have a lot of issues on it. Now, would you want to have people question or any, this is not just community mental health. Because if they've been sitting there a long time and it's not going the right direction, not going the right direction, then we need to replace that person. It's the public.
And we're talking about your interview. I'll
Sure.
get you.
Is that Rex?
Rex is here.
We'll go back to the specific person. Rex Seabart, thanks for coming.
Thank you, and I live above the Computer Country Store downtown. I've been living in Lapeer for 35 years. I've also been an attorney for 35 years. During the course of my practice, I've taken about 600 trial depositions and other depositions, including psychiatrists and psychologists. My son Zane lives in a great group home. It used to be the former Elba Elementary, and it's now called Flat Rock Assisted Living. He's been living there for 9 years. I've seen him a couple times. I also seen other people that are subject of Lapeer County. And I really would like to get on the board so I can return, do something for the community. Since my son's been there almost 9 years. And the probate court routinely approves me as attorney for people who are autistic and somebody's trying to become a guardian. I also do represent people who are involuntarily hospitalized or confined. And I think I have enough experience to get on the board, and I would really like to do that because I think I could be an asset. So
Okay, well, we thank you for being here. Did
Thank you.
you see if any board members have any questions or?
You know, I appreciate you coming, it's like the rest of us, so. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I also do arraignments, which is now a requirement for anybody who is charged with a crime. There has to be an attorney to explain to them about the arraignment process. And my office is right next door to here, and so I work on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I make a motion to do that appointment.
Support. Okay. Any discussion about that appointment? We have no other applicants. I think it's fair to say at this point. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Welcome. Thanks for.
And I just got into semi-retirement, so I have something else to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. You're welcome.
Okay, any other, go back to the comment section on whether all are required or any other comments about that?
And I think it should be, and if they can't for some reason, the department head that's in that area or whoever's involved should probably bring it to us as to why they couldn't. So that people understood, but yes, we know that they got the credentials and we want to appoint them. I think people should be aware who is on what board.
I agree. Maybe we put the word ask instead of required. But that's semantics almost. But I agree, no reason we shouldn't invite them to come to the meeting, or at least inform them. I mean, that's really, I think, the key problem is, you know, most of these people, they know that they're getting appointed, but they don't know when the next meeting is, or they're not sure when they're gonna be on the agenda. So I think as soon as we get this and say, hey, we have whoever upstairs, give them a call and say, hey, you guys, your appointment's gonna be on this date, it'd be, the commission would like to have you in attendance. So leave it at that.
And on their application, we just got a copy of that in a box, and it just says candidates will be required to appear before the Board of Commissioners for appointment. So it's already on their application, so they're aware that we're looking to see them. So.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we follow up with that.
Yeah.
Because it should somewhat be up to them to follow the meeting dates, but at the same time, with the way our committees and everything else works, sometimes, I don't want them to show up to one meeting and then, oh yeah, we're doing that next week, and they're like, oh, well, great, I wasted that Thursday
Well,
morning.
that's a good point. What day are we talking about?
I think they could probably appear any point after they put in their application.
For sure, I just figured just for efficiency's sake, that they come in the day that they're gonna be appointed, just.
Sometimes we get nominations well in advance. They may or may not be available. I would say any point. Doesn't mean we're gonna make the appointment then. We may decide to wait until closer.
Yeah, either way, as long as they're contacted, they're be informed. Yeah.
Okay, well, it sounds like we need required then, from what I'm hearing most of the discussion, which is what the form that we've got on our boxes says. So I'll assume that's what we're forwarding to our applicants, and if there is a problem, we'll bring it forward, either through the department or from the individual.
If we say so, or just ask, and just, well, I don't really want to go. Yeah, no. This way,
Well, then we want to appoint.
Right.
But yeah, I see your point.
But they could have, for example, work
Yeah.
schedule
Well, and that's
where
why I
they're
wanted.
available at night, but not during the day.
That's why I wanted to ask instead of required. It's.
But if you say ask, then,
It's more optional.
yeah, and then we're back into where we've been. Okay, then that takes care of, I believe, our applications at this point. We don't have any other new or old business, but we do have committees, including Committee of the Whole. Commissioner Warren, I didn't warn you, but would you mind going through the Committee of the Whole motions?
Got personnel here, except here's ARPA.
Too far.
Right after
Yeah,
nominations.
in front, yeah.
First part.
Right after the nominations.
Okay, I make a motion, this is for the resolution, this first one.
Second.
Make a motion to move number 2 for the, concerning the resolution of the optimizing for the election integrity as it pertains to the acceptance of unregulated private monies for funding the elections board of commissions. I need that in itself, but right now.
You're going to start with number 2?
We'll start with number 2 because I was right.
Oh, okay, we'll start with number 2 as a favor.
I appreciate it.
Okay, and that is a roll call. So all those in favor are going to need to answer to the clerk.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner Zender,
Yes.
Commissioner Henning,
Yes?
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go back to motion 1.
Number 1, and that is on the ORVs, motion to approve, to update the, what was missed back in 2015.
I'll move that for you.
Pardon?
I'll move that. Yeah, since you.
We have a-
It'd be kind of weird to move
We
it.
have a motion, second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, well, excuse me, any further discussion?
That should be a roll call too. huh?
Well, we can if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do roll call at number 1.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes, or no, sorry.
Commissioner Zender,
Yes.
Commissioner Henning.
Yes. Okay, moving on page 2.
Make a motion to move 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
And I make a motion to move number 8.
Okay, I've got one question there. I think normally we've had credit cards given to specific positions or specific individuals. This one just says to the department. Do we need to indicate that it goes to the director of animal control?
No, you don't need to have it directed there because the SOP directs it to be to the department head. So the motion authorizes the credit card for the department. The SOP that they have to operate under requires the department head it's in their name. So it's okay.
Any further discussion? See none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, personnel motions. Brendan, you cover that.
For the board's purposes, would you guys mind if I move 1 through 5 all at once? Or do you want to do them individual? I know sometimes.
I'm good with moving them all at once to the fact that there are no
So I'll
sponsor
move
accounts.
1 through 5, and just for context, it's mostly just filling in positions due to vacancies. Or resignation, I should say.
Support.
I think they're all that way, so. Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion 6.
All right, motion 6 is a little bit more complicated, but more or less the same. There's going to be a restructuring in some of the departments at CMH. That includes the telehealth program, the autism benefit program, and then adding some additional positions as well, such as a full-time MA clinician and a couple of paraprofessionals for the stepping stone program, and amending the current part-time communication specialist to full-time. There's also, I'll go ahead, Rick.
I'm going to support that one.
Oh, okay. There's a couple of things that we had questions on, concerns about, but that's coming before the personnel next time around. So there will be amendments to this particular restructuring, but this is what we were able to agree to at the personnel meeting last week.
Any further discussion?
Without getting in the weeds too far. Taking 2 part-time positions and making them full-time. I assume the committee has gone over that and that is an actual real need.
We can ask the Director.
Brian, are you
Mr.
talking
Evans?
about the two employment positions?
So we're
There's actually three that are going from
yeah,
part-time to
there's a
full-time.
bunch of stuff that's going from part-time to full-time.
Right, the job coach positions, we, sorry. We seeded that program about a year ago in our last restructure. We wanted to start this evidence-based employment program. So we start out with a couple of part-time staff. And we had already had one staff assigned to that program as that's a bachelor's level kind of coordinator position. So this program has been very successful. And to move to the next step and get our state certification, we need to have 2 full-time staff in job coaching positions in that program to qualify for enrollment and certification in the state evidence-based program. So we've tried it out. We've been successful. So we've been doing the evidence-based, but now we're ready to become an enrolled program, but we need additional staff capacity for the state to approve us for that enrolled program.
Because I'm moving this thing forward because I agree we need that position at this point. We're going to be tougher and tougher on a lot of these appointments that we're getting. But can you explain what that evidence-based stuff is, so that people understand what you're talking about?
That evidence-based program is IPS. It's Independent Support and Placement. It's an evidence-based employment program where the job coaches work with an individual to find successful employment. So we have right now, kind of in our employment continuum, we have people at Harmony Hall who are in TEP programs who are testing out temporary positions. We have the Parks program, which is testing people out in temporary positions. And then once they get that job experience, what you'll find with mentally ill individuals, most of us in our late teens, early 20s, that's when we kind of get our first crack at our testing jobs and employment. But many people with a mental illness miss that opportunity because their mental illness has interfered with their normal development during those phases. So they've missed out on some of those, a lot of us flip burgers, bus tables, baled hay, a number of different things. It's a few things I did through my career, but so those temporary in the parks kind of give them a taste of that. Then this is the next step. And in this particular program, in previous support employment programs, the agencies find the jobs and we try to fit people to them. In this particular program, we want the person to pick the job they want and that they want to go for. And then we work closely with them to be successful at that particular job.
And I gotta say,
That's the difference.
being observing on that side, but being on the board and stuff, and seeing, meeting some of these people, they get excited about the job. You also have businesses out there that are participating to help support that. So it's a nice community effort. So in that case,
Yeah, and
I think it is well needed. So.
Kevin has done a couple of presentations to CMH board about the program and how he's geared it up and reported on the success. So Rick can attest to that.
And again, you said that this program is successful,
Right.
and please, I guess, explain that as far as what is the measure of success on this that we placed?
I don't have the specific data, but it's the number of job placements.
Okay. So,
And their continuation.
And their continuation
in
in
that.
employment.
so it's not just, okay, we got this person a job and then 2 weeks later, this isn't working out. The employer or employee, whichever,
Right.
ceases this relationship. So we have a track record of actual success.
Correct. And what makes IPS successful is there's a lot of upfront work, but then there's ongoing support. So with the person's permission, if the person
doesn't show up for work or is having issues at work, they give the employer permission to contact the job coach. The job coach can come in and we can intervene before it gets to the point where the person may be fired or lose their job. I'm not gonna say we're always successful because we've had situations where, it's just untenable for the employer.
I think.
As in anybody who gets a job, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, to Brian's point though, I think it's safe to say you guys do continue
Right.
after hiring for
Right.
probably several
And
months.
then we slowly pull back over time, but if that person's still in that position and working in our program a year from now and needs some support, we're gonna run in and give them that support to keep them successful in that position.
So it's ongoing, there's
Yeah,
not a
there's
time limit
not
of 90 days.
necessarily a time limit to it, but most of the time when we can work through the first year or so, it turns into a successful,
And Lauren, and I know you guys are always, everybody's always busy, but like your guy that gave.
I could have him come down and do a presentation to commissioners. Yeah.
Would love to,
Okay.
to hear that at some point. I mean, obviously, you guys do a lot of good things, and we want to hear about those too.
Right.
And especially like a program like this, and if it is successful, I would love to hear a 15-minute presentation on it.
Okay.
Okay.
And for, just to see the joy and the hope that they have when they are successful is
No.
amazing. I agree with you, yes, we can see it.
Like I say, getting somebody a job is not success in my book. You have to be able to keep that and
Right.
so.
But, the next step, getting our program now recognized by the state MDHHS, and, that's kind of the next evolution of program development. And that gives us an opportunity for enhanced billing codes and enhanced funding, so.
So enhanceability codes is, and the fact that
Yeah.
there could be maybe its own type program instead of using,
No,
no.
we went through that at committee level. I know where you're going.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm hoping. Give me something good, Lauren.
Okay, further discussion, further questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, one more motion.
Yeah, now this last one, I'm not gonna move right now. I'll invite another committee member if they wish to move on it. Not because I think the position's bad, just the organization of it. So basically what this motion will do, is it will create an account coordinator position. It's a position that's certainly needed up at the finance office. However, it will leave the assistant finance officer position open. So essentially what they're doing is they're creating a new position, the account coordinator position, and then the position that used to be filled by an employee who has since moved on to another position in the county is going to be left open for potential promotions further down the line. My opinion is the position that's being offered, the accounting coordinator position, makes a lot of sense, totally good. I just feel that we should close the other position off. I don't like leaving those positions open. I feel like that's how governments increase the size gradually over time. And I also worry about, potential leverage against future boards. Because as we've seen before, department head will come before you and they'll say something along the lines of, hey, I've had this position open for 5 years now and I've been a team player. What's going on? Why don't you help me fill this position? And not saying that that's necessarily what will happen in the finance department right now, but down the road, who knows who's going to be in the finance department or any of the departments. So just as a general rule and philosophy, I don't like doing that. I like to close positions off and create positions as needed, but that's up to the board to decide.
Last week, as we discussed in the meeting, I was looking forward to it because whether we close it or, because later on, they do want to use that position, they still got to come to the board to explain why they need that position to be filled. So we have a chance, the new board would have a chance to say yes or no to it and explain. I understand you think they have an arm on it, but otherwise we close it and then they gotta open up, go through a whole process to get that position back in there. Take a little bit longer, but it's just something, it's not gonna make any difference whether it's open or closed, so it's not a crucial.
All
But I
I,
understand your
yeah,
fact
no,
that they might say that.
yeah, all I'll say to close out my argument is, while it's true, this board does know the context, understands the context, a future board may not. And I would even argue to say that since I've been on the board, there's probably been a couple of times that certain things have happened that probably shouldn't have happened simply because context wasn't available or provided to us because we weren't there. Certain people weren't in the offices at the time. So that's all I'll say and close out that.
Okay, we do need a motion.
I made a motion.
Okay,
I'll support it.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
No.
Okay, there's a majority. I'll vote yes.
Have to wait to hear that one.
As do you. Okay. Yeah, we're counting on administration to be upfront with us, and they have been, so I think I'm not uncomfortable with that. Some of us will haunt them. They forget what they do. Okay, we now have Properties Committee, important motion there, and I go to Commissioner's updates.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept and approve the real estate purchase and sale agreement with the intent that the county will purchase property at 1254 North Main, Lapeer, after due diligence and further to authorize chairman and/or county controller to sign said agreement.
And I support that.
We should probably have a roll call vote for that. I think.
Yes, we'll do that. If not, you got the request, we'll do it.
And
We probably need some further background on this, just because it is a significant.
this
I'm not even sure what this is.
Okay.
So,
So community mental health has 3 programs that need placement. 2 are currently at Maple Grove, that they're renting. The building there is less than ideal. I think the board's pretty aware of that. And this other program, they have no place for it. So,
Brian, all 3 are currently in Maple Grove.
oh, all 3 are,
Yes.
okay, I'm sorry. So, we've looked at several buildings, we've looked at several ideas, expanding to their existing building. We've looked at a couple of other buildings that were for sale. We've looked at redoing one of our buildings. This seemed like the best solution. And if you're not familiar with this piece of property, it's the old Rollwood building right across from the hospital.
okay, I am aware of this then, okay, I gotcha.
So this would fit all 3 of those programs and have some room for expansion. This property was offered to us at a really good price compared to what it appraised for. The purchase price for the public, it's 2.5 million. The property appraised for almost, it was just over 4, I believe. So we're getting a good deal on the property and building. So it has plenty of parking.
And the issue is not just came up to us now. This is something we've been looking around for the last 4 or 5 years and find space for what is needed. We're at a position right now that Maple Grove may, they at any time could kick us out of there.
Well,
If
and
that happens, the county has a big problem on their hands with these people.
And I've toured Maple Grove, I think we toured it 2 years ago. I cannot imagine it's gotten much better.
It
Last
is
2
not,
years.
that's so, it's very serious.
Yeah.
And we've looked, like you said, we've looked at several different areas, a lot of different options. We've had engineers on how to remodel, do things to make it all work. This seemed like the best fit in the county. It's gonna be a county asset, so it's not owned by community mental health. It'll be owned by the county.
And Community Mental Health has done architectural
But they're,
studies, I think, on options, got
Yeah.
pretty
You want kind
solid.
of the whole history or not?
Ever since I've been on this commission, we've been working on this from like day one. And it was before I was on here that they were working on it, so there's a lot of time and stuff that had gone into this. This is not a knee-jerk reaction. This is very well thought out.
And that building was in use fairly recently.
It's still in
It's
use.
still in use, okay. And the reason I ask is I just want to make sure, have we toured it yet? Has the commission just looked at the building yet?
Myself,
I've been in it, but not like that.
Quentin, Lauren,
John Bussell,
I don't know,
Because
yeah, John was.
John was there.
Yeah,
some of his staff
John was there.
also have background.
Okay. And in all honesty, this is probably one of the cheaper options,
It is.
because if we build, you could say, oh yeah, we could build for 2.5 million, but we know that's not.
And
Never how it
that,
works.
that wasn't even close to the
Yeah.
number.
The actual building cost was closer to $7 million.
And even expansion is, you run into all sorts of issues, and then I know it wasn't necessarily architecturally that viable. So I think this is the best option, because currently, in my opinion, contracting out services in a county always leaves you on the hook for a bad position somewhere down the line. So I think this is a good idea. So thanks for filling me in on some of that.
Couple comments. I'm aware that our corporate counsel has looked at this,
Correct.
and that on the whole, the periods involved are very standard in terms of for due diligence and checking title and all of that.
Correct.
So we feel pretty well protected there. Couple things to note in here that I would call your attention to. One is that there are limitations if we ever want to sell this building. There is a limitation on who we can sell it to. And you can see from the point of view of the seller why they might want to do that. Pretty obvious in terms of who we can't sell it to.
Can I comment on that, Dal, just so the public is aware, because I'm sure they're scratching their head going, what are you guys talking about?
Okay.
This property is currently owned by McLaren Health System. So in the agreement, we cannot sell it to another health system. That's why they're giving us a $1.5 million discount on this property. So.
Got a question about
Yeah.
when is the building built?
Do we know when this was built?
There's several phases of the building, but early 70s.
So just that, and this is just for my own pure interest, was this built when the county still owned the hospital, or was this after?
I cannot answer that.
I think before,
When
the county owned the hospital.
So technically the county built the building. Interesting, okay.
The old days built by a coalition of doctors.
Oh,
There was a
okay.
group of, I think, 4 doctors.
Who built it originally? Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I was just curious, because that's something I'd always looked into, was the hospital selling. I thought it was kind of interesting.
I think the hospital merged in there later on, they came in,
And bought it out.
because a lot of doctors were selling out to the hospitals, that's what happened.
And I mean, we could, the county, and maybe you can correct me, because I don't have the agreement in front of me, but the county could use that building for non-CMH purposes too, if we wanted to.
And right now, we're looking at filling what we need for the community, for the CMH. And if there is openings, yes, it could be subleased from other areas, so yes, that's a.
We could even sublease offices out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So there's some limitations, again,
Yeah, there
medical
are some, yeah,
competition,
of
but
course.
other than that.
Right, but I mean,
And
if
that
you wanted
could
to
possibly
put,
happen, yes.
if you wanted to put the drain commissioner there, you want to put, I mean, stuff like that, yes.
The other interesting thing that's in here is that there is the final, once we go through all of the due diligence and check out, make sure the building's what we think it is, which is critical. We've done, I think, some initial legwork. We're gonna have professionals outside of the county staff looking at it for defects. But after we go through that, McLaren Regional Board does get the final voice on this, but we're, I think, pretty confident that they know what we're doing at this point and they're supportive of it. But that will leave it hanging a bit. One question I guess I have remaining, do we need to authorize any funds at this point?
No.
To do due diligence or?
No, I would not entertain any funds until we have actual quotes. If we actually have to have an engineer, we'll get quotes before we authorize any funds whatsoever. This simply allows us to move forward with the purchase agreement and start the due diligence period. So this is the first step. I wouldn't authorize a single dollar until we have quotes.
We have a 60-day limit on that. You think we've got enough time to pass any amendments required?
We'll make it
Any,
happen. We'll make it happen.
Take any bids?
And like any purchase, any real estate, things can change between now and time to finally make that final closing, so there's still a lot of things going on yet, so.
Okay, so administration does recommend that. All right, any other further comments, questions?
Yeah, not really on the motion, but more or less on the procedure. So we're gonna pass this right now. What further motions are gonna need to be made to finalize this agreement?
The agreement itself, the purchase agreement opens up due diligence.
Yep.
Once we get due diligence and we come back with recommendations, we'll have official inspections. Those inspections will carry a report. Those reports need to also be accepted because within those reports, they'll tell us or will insist that certain things need to be done. Those things could cost money, and at that moment, will be no more authorization for that. Before we go to close, the papers will have to be drawn up. Titles have to be drawn up. Deeds, the whole 9 yards, will need authorization for that as well. So there's probably another 4 or 5 steps that are gonna need to take place, but this authorization allows us to get the ball rolling, start our 60-day period.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure there were further steps that we're gonna have to take along the way.
Oh, this doesn't buy a building,
I didn't think so, but just wanted to-
okay?
But it's a significant step towards it.
Yes.
Necessary, yes.
Further discussion? You see none, there was a request for roll call. Sounds like a good idea.
Commissioner Sever,
Yes.
Commissioner Morris,
Yes.
Commissioner Henning,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, board. Moving on, I believe we still have ARPA. I think one motion for ARPA. So, Commissioner Senator, if you don't mind, I'll stick you with that one.
I'd make a motion to approve contract with Grants Office for professional grant writing services. Cost of $6,210 to be paid from the ARP Fund 281.
And not to exceed that amount, and I support that.
Okay, discussion.
Is this necessary?
Yes.
Tell me why.
I'll tell you why.
Just a little bit why.
You're killing me.
We'll call on
I know,
administration for
sorry.
this.
No, I'll tell you why. No, it's a question. So, the grant that we're applying for right now is called the NTIA Middle Mile Grant. Okay, it's about $250 million that's been issued through this organization, NTIA, the National Telecommunications Information Association. So, Washington-based company. They're going to provide monies to build out the trunk, the fiber trunk, right? That's middle mile. And then the runs throughout the different areas, okay, it's a separate pot of money. We need to build a strong foundation. So that's the first investment. This is the first monies available for that initial investment, okay? It's a national application that's due September 30th, okay? So we have about 4 different entities that we're juggling right now to make sure that we're staying on track. So I'm the project manager and I'm on these 4 companies like this. Get this done, get this done, get this done. There has to be somebody, a part of this team, that packages all that information as the contractors are pouring in information. That's what this does. It's the person that can then administrate that application and get it. Because they do broadband applications for the federal government. So they help write it. This type of grant work is not the grants that we write for the community foundation or our local churches. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You don't get a letter of support. We go to church together,
Yeah,
so
that-
you get the
everything you
$500.
explained, That's fine. I think
It's very technical.
honestly, we need to maybe need to look at grant writer position at the county. Most counties have it, but that's way further down the line. Oh, yeah. But no,
This
that's-
was more of a
What
special.
was missing in here is it didn't say what it was for, so.
Yeah.
Now I think the tie's been made to our broadband network.
Yep.
So, very, very specialized, and this is obviously a firm that is very involved from a number of points of view. And that's why they were selected.
Do you want the motion to reflect for broadband purposes?
That would be, for broadband purposes, I think would be a good addition for clarity for other people might read it. So make the motion, and the second would agree to that friendly amendment.
Oh,
Sure.
and I agree too.
Further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we have no fiscal discussions added to my knowledge, is that right?
Correct.
And no ad hoc updates? I don't think any committees coming after this meeting. Audit motions, Commissioner Warren, can you help us through those, please?
Motion to approve the road commission's audit motion for $1,670.83. The county paid for spent $2.5,668,483.80, and to be assigned by the administrator or controller.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, we're back now to public time. We invite any members of our public that want to make a comment.
Mr. Chair, I would ask to be excused. It's okay.
I don't know.
Can you hang on just a second?
Just for public time, yeah, because otherwise we have to.
We
Oh,
officially go out of
Yeah.
session.
I'll talk fast.
Okay.
My name is Rose Navarro. Nice to see you all this morning, and thank you for all you do. This is kind of not really related to anything, but it is. I sit here and listen to all of the mental health money in the budget. I want everyone in the room, anyone watching, what is wrong with our mental health? We are poisoning our children. The autism rate used to be something like 1 in 10,000. When my kids were born, it was 1 in 60. It's 1 in 30 now. You're not even getting the onslaught of those young children in your system yet. We will never be able to take care of this. You know, the parents are the caretakers for these autistic kids, no matter where on the spectrum. Start looking at your water, start looking at your food, start looking at the vaccines. The amount of vaccines in 1986 that we give our children is killing their brains. Really, I'm begging you all to look into this. You all are children, you have grandchildren. We cannot sustain this mental health crisis. We used to own 100 Woods apartments. It broke my heart to watch. The mental health, the support that the community did was amazing. They had jobs, they were awesome, they're beautiful people. but it's like a 1-to-1. I mean, we can't afford the volume of people that's coming down the pipe. When these young children are older, their parents are gonna die, and I don't know who's gonna help these people and guide them. Please look at what we're doing to our bodies, with our food, with our air. We have got to start waking up, because we will not be able to support these people. No one will be working. We'll be supporting all of them, and there'll be no one working running this country. Really, really, I'm begging you to look into some of the stuff. The EMFs with 5G and EMFs, I personally know that makes a huge difference. I have a small practice I do. I have 30-year-olds. I have 4 in the last 6 months, and they said they don't know any 30-year-old that does not have anxiety. What the heck is that about? Please, I'm begging you to pay attention and make choices and pass the word on to tell people, look at what they're eating and what they're doing. Smart use of Wi-Fi, shut it off at night so your body can shut down and heal. That's an absolute, it's proven in the literature. So thank you again, but I beg you all, for your own health and your family's health, to wake up and look around. Thanks.
Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none. Commissioner reports, I think, brief, please.
I'm gonna speak, but can he leave, or does he? Yeah.
He has to stay in line. I don't know if he'll
Or we have to go out of session.
Okay, well, in response to her, and I agree with her, the vaccines need to be looked at seriously. And when she's talking about vaccines, and I've gotten medical histories from doctors, been going back since the 70s, showing what happened. I mean, I remember as a kid, I still have my tonsils, but there was a period they took everybody's tonsils out because they said that was good for them. They found out that's not good. We went through a period where they told us we got to stop eating eggs because it's bad for us. They found out that wasn't good. We got to quit playing games with all this medical stuff and all these things on people's bodies that they don't even know about. And now we're talking about vaccines. And the big one coming up in the next few months, you're already hearing about it. Monkeypox, and they're trying to change the name because they don't want to use that because it's offending people that it's a monkeypox. And you got to be contacted to even get that, but they want you to wear a mask. So be aware. And they told you a few months ago this was going to be coming. It's here. This country, everybody, every American person needs to stand up and say, what the hell is going on? Community mental health, as she said, I moved this thing earlier. I said, we're going to be more critical about moving positions and stuff, because what is happening with community mental health? Why? What's being done for the other people that can't afford, that aren't poor enough to use community mental health, have to go outside, can't get it? There's still a lot of issues that need to be taken care of. But we have to start asking questions. But what the problem in this country is, the censorship is huge, huge. The View put this in, politics. You don't normally discuss it. Now they're saying, yes, you should get involved. If not, what? Read it on the news. But yes, we should be getting involved. Everybody should be getting involved. And it's all local. It's all stuff that needs to be part of this. Because when you don't even know about these 35 people, you don't know about those 35 people, and they're not talking about it. That's why we're here talking about what she's asking, that same question. It's going to get to where it's too expensive to even try to support any of that stuff. And then what are you going to do? I mean, they want to control you. That's the whole goal, is to control you. And that is a local issue, not a national issue. That's why I talk about it. And I told you I'm going to keep exposing it. We have representatives that aren't even standing up speaking against this. It's serious. It's your life, it's your kids' life, it's your grandkids' life that you're playing with. And that's all I have to say for today. And I apologize for taking so much of your time. But this needs to be discussed by every leader in the country, period. And every person in that seat needs to question every one of us. And every one of our seats need to be high. So that's my case.
Commissioner Zender?
So, on the good side of things,
Right.
we have a small event going on in our county this week.
I bet you have clowns there, don't you?
You know what? There was a clown there last night. Let's see the rodeo clown. Today we have a few things on the agenda going on there. We have the auction for the animals. We have Veterans Day going on. We have Special Needs Day going on right now, which and we have Our grandstand event tonight is the trailer race and chain gang race. So tomorrow night is autocross, Saturday night is demolition derby. Welcome you all out to enjoy the fair, and
I just want to make one comment about the fair. I learned this when I was out at the fair.
Yep.
Because you'll go to the fairgrounds, we had all those freak shows we used to have. You understand it today because we can't talk about certain things, we can't call people names, we can't say anything. Those people lost lots of money on income because they can't be in the freak show anymore because we're making fun of them. That's how bad this is, but the rest of the clowns are still having fun, but we still have some freaks out there, so.
Okay, moving on.
moving on.
The only thing I will indicate, we've got for the audience in the room and online, we have the flyer available for household hazardous waste clean sweep in the back. Hopefully you'll pick one up, but maybe you have some things to contribute. I've heard through administration, we're getting already a pretty good demand, so spread the word. So one time this year, next year, we'll hope perhaps to do it twice. Other thing I'd say is we do have lots of mental health issues. We could spend, and Lauren would help us spend hours on it. Some of which are in our bailiwick directly, and some of which are throughout the country. A lot of people need to be involved in. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
Sport. Done.
Have a great week, enjoy the fair.
See you guys. Yeah, be safe.
Motion to adjourn.
We have,